Friday. You're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie Laurel. It's the start of a new trading day. Let's kick off with our banner story. The Philippines fell to its lowest spot in 5 years in terms of global competitiveness. Data from the World Competitiveness Report showed that the country ranked 52nd out of 64 countries, 7 spots lower than last year's 45th spot. The country is a laggard in the region as it ranked 13th out of 14 Asia Pacific economies. Mongolia was the only APAC economy behind the Philippines. The annual report is conducted by Switzerland-based International Institute for Management Development, or the IMD. This report ranks a country's competitiveness using metrics under 4 factors: economic performance, government efficiency, business efficiency, and infrastructure. IMD said the country's performance slumped after the economy contracted by a record 9.6% last year. The country dropped in 3 factors while it retained its infrastructure ranking at 59th. That's despite the government's Build program. IMD said the country's decline in the ranking is not particularly related to its pandemic response, saying its long-term performance was also factored in. Brace for more brownouts. The Energy Department says the Luzon grid will likely experience more red alerts in July. That's as several power plants are set to undergo maintenance work. DOE Electric Power Industry Management Bureau Director Mario Marasigan said we will see simultaneous preventive maintenance schedules in the coming weeks until the end of July. He explained that the GN Power Mariveles Energy Center is still on an extended outage, while Sual Unit 1 will start its maintenance next month. The agency previously said that the NGCP has not been complying with the terms of procuring required reserves through firm contracts, but the NGCP has also repeatedly said that procuring ancillary services on either firm or non-firm contracts will not solve the recurring brownouts or power interruptions. The NGCP also earlier announced that it would hold a competitive bidding process for the supply of ancillary services to fulfill the government requirements and secure the best value for consumers. Opening with a global equities overview, you can see that on my Bloomberg terminal here. This as the Fed statements were in focus yesterday. That is, the U.S. Fed officials over there were signaling that monetary policy could tighten earlier than planned. So they've moved the first rate increases possibly to 2023 instead of what they were previously expecting 2024. And some investors have interpreted this as hawkish, saying that economic growth is improving and accelerating. Inflation is being taken into consideration. Now, historically, this has actually been positive for the areas like that are non-cyclical, such as the Nasdaq, and you can see that up by 0.9% in Wall Street overnight. Meanwhile, you've got the Philippines also having fallen yesterday, the most in over a month. But you can see that opening strongly this morning, 6,894, up a touch by 0.09%. Now, this according to APSEC's Rachel Cruz. The Fed's more hawkish than expected stance is now resulting in a stronger dollar that might drive the weakness in the equities and other emerging market assets. She said that there are fears being fueled about the recent, hot money might be flowing outside and back into the dollar. Now, of course, this comes as we see net foreign selling happening yet again. That surged to 5.20 billion on Thursday after having already seen some days of an inflow. And speaking of currencies, I just want to take a quick check at how the Philippine peso is doing compared to the basket of its peers. It is down by 0.74%. Year to date, and of course this also comes amid the fresh weakness in those emerging market currencies on the back of a stronger dollar, which rallied the most in 1 year and disproportionately hit those Asian markets. However, you've got the BSP saying that they will be keeping the supportive monetary policy stance. I'm going to pull out for you guys a chart here, which of course shows our own stance here in terms of our own interest rates. The Bangko Sentral says they will be keeping a monetary policy stance that supports the economic activity, and they said that the bank lending remains weak but should be normalizing, liquidity conditions remaining healthy. Very interestingly, they have said that the COVID-19 measures of the Bangko Sentral has unleashed 2.2 trillion pesos into the system. That's 12% of the GDP that the Bangko Sentral has supported as of early June. What have they done? Basically, they've participated in the government securities secondary market that contributed 6.16% of GDP. Plus, they've advanced 540 billion pesos to the national government. That's around 3% of the GDP. Other things that they've done to help the COVID-19 response, they lowered, of course, the triple R. They've had this alternative compliance to the triple R, and they've also cut the interest rates to the lowest we've seen so far, 200 basis point cut, also giving a 20 billion peso dividend remittance to the treasury. Now let's look at a couple of stocks that I wanted to watch out for today. Starting with the airlines here. You've actually got PAL in focus yesterday. That was on a trading halt after it had posted a record loss of 73 billion pesos in 2020 and had announced a first quarter 2021 net loss of 8.6 billion pesos. But now they're saying they're expecting to generate positive monthly operating cash flows this year, hoping for a gradual recovery in the travel industry plus some cost containment measures. Recall that they said that they're expecting funding of up to $505 million from a quote major stockholder. They are finally currently in the final stages of a comprehensive restructuring plan. Another one that is quite optimistic as well, Cebu Pacific, but they're saying they're cautiously optimistic and still sticking to the 2022 recovery, but they did mention a lot of things can still happen. They did mention they were pleasantly surprised with how the vaccination rollout is going. Moving on to the biggest headlines we are watching this Friday morning. Imported car sales almost quadrupled in the month of May compared to the same month of last year. This comes after the government loosened lockdown restrictions following a slight downtrend in COVID-19 cases. Now, in a report on Thursday, the Association of Vehicle Importers and Distributors, or AVID, said that imported car sales surged 293% to over 4,800. That's compared to about 1,000 units, which were sold in the same month in 2020. Now, May sales also improved by 8% from the previous month. That's as companies sold more light commercial vehicles. Because of this, year-to-date sales rose almost 60% compared to the first 5 months of last year. Passenger car sales in May increased by almost 200%, led by Hyundai Asia, while light commercial vehicle sales also surged 335%, and commercial vehicle sales grew by more than 100%. Now, recall that the domestic car industry also recorded a surge in sales in the same month to over 360%. It's a busy day for McDonald's branches nationwide. That's as the BTS Meal launches to the general public today. After its exclusive and early release to select medical frontliners and fans who secured their pre-order slots through the McDonald's app, the meal will now be widely available for dine-in, takeout, drive-thru, and deliveries through McDonald's and its partners. Featuring 10 pieces chicken McNuggets, medium fries and Coke, and 2 packets of staple Korean sauces Cajun and sweet chili, the BTS meal is worth 260 pesos. And here to chat with us about that much praised meal, we have with us Timbol-Hernandez. She's the Senior Manager, Corporate Communications at McDonald's Philippines. Good morning, Ma'am Addie, and welcome to the broadcast.
Yes, hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, ma'am, it's exciting times, especially for the BTS so-called army. But for those who are not in the know, can we take a step back to explain what BTS stands for? What makes this, unique compared to other personalities you've had endorse the McDonald's brand? And why would this resonate specifically with the target market of McDonald's in the Philippines?
I think what's really great about BTS is that it appeals, to a wide range of generations. So from the young ones to the not so young ones, we also have what we call the Tita Army. It's because the music of BTS is so light, it's positive, it sends a very good message, something that's really relevant, especially with what's happening in the world. So I think that's why their music really resounds to everyone, or to really to a global market, and which makes them really a fantastic partner or for this collaboration.
Ma'am, this collab is not actually unique to the Philippines. I think it started
Yeah.
elsewhere. Can you give us an idea of that, how those have been received in other countries? And would this be any different? Is this going to be the same type of products that you've launched elsewhere, or is there something specific to the Philippine market?
Well, this collaboration with BTS is actually McDonald's ever first global campaign. So it actually ran in around 50 markets all over the world starting last May 26. So the Philippines is one of the last few markets to launch it. And so far, the response has been really great globally. And it really goes to show the power and strength of this collaboration. And in terms of the meal, it's the same offer because the campaign is grounded on an insight wherein no matter how famous you are, you will always have a favorite meal at McDonald's. So the BTS meal, it's the same in all markets. It's the nuggets and the special Cajun and sweet chili sauces, fries, and Coca-Cola.
How did they collaborate specifically? Are they simply endorsers, or did they do anything? And I think that it's just
Mhm.
the sauces. Did they have a role in creating these sauces, or in creating the promotional materials?
It was really BTS that said, this was our favorite meal at McDonald's, and we went with
Oh, it's
that.
an
So this is
existing meal already.
yes, we've
Okay,
been
in other
serving nuggets.
countries.
Yeah, we've been
Okay.
serving nuggets and fries. It's a staple
No, the
menu offer
sauces,
at
ma'am.
McDonald's. Oh, the sauces has been
Yeah.
available in Korea. So they are
Okay.
recipes from South Korea, and therefore it's really the meal of choice of the BTS members, and that's why it's something that we rolled out internationally.
Okay, so this has actually been existing already, and we're
Hmm.
bringing it here from South Korea. Tell
Yes.
us, how long is this promotion going to be? And of course, the magic question: how many are you looking to sell? How much is McDonald's spending on all of this? Of course, it's expensive to have these sort of collaborators. They happen to be the hottest band right now.
Okay, so let's take that one by one. So we launched today nationwide and all of the 600, uh, over 650 stores nationwide, and we will have this promotion until the end of July. So yesterday, we had our first dibs or a soft launch of the BTS meal, wherein we had around 100,000 uh, orders of the BTS meal through the McDonald's app. And for the next few days, especially after the launch, we're expecting 3 to 5 times more than our orders from yesterday's soft launch through the app. So
Ma'am,
yeah, so
how
that
will
was the
you
number.
manage? Yeah, that's a good number. How will you manage the safety protocols, especially
Mm,
today?
okay.
What's going to be happening? What are you expecting? Are people going to be flocking to the McDonald's outlets? And what measures do you have in place to ensure that the people will be protected?
That's the great thing about being one of the markets that launched last was we were able to see how the other markets did it, and we were able to really prepare, have a longer time for preparation, and it really starts at the back of the house in our kitchen. So we had to review all of our processes to make sure that we are able to serve the meals fast, and that way, the faster you're able to serve your catered lines for our delivery riders. There are dedicated lines for senior citizens who are allowed to go out of their homes, and for the general public. So we have dedicated safety managers who will, around the clock, will be going around to make sure all the health and safety protocols are being implemented. And as an additional step, we reached out to the different local government units,
Hmm.
informing them that this is happening or this will
Okay.
happen today, and that we're expecting a higher volume of customers in our stores. We presented to them, or we shared with them the different processes that we will be implementing to make sure that safety will continue to be our top priority. And we received warm feedback from our LGU, and they've actually gave us a helping hand. So you don't be surprised to see barangay tanods and
Wow.
policemen by our stores because they know the power
Mhm.
of the BTS meal, and they're just very happy to help out, which we very much
And baka
appreciate.
the line for seniors will get longer with people asking them priority. Mas madali pala if you're senior. Okay, ma'am, finally,
Yeah.
before we let you go,
Sure.
just question on
Mm,
the pandemic and how McDonald's
okay.
has been doing very, quickly. What type of innovations have you done? Are you on the way to the recovery? How optimistic are you guys for this year? There's 30 stores, according to the news, will be opening
Mhm.
with formats adapted to the pandemic. What does that mean?
Okay, so we're looking at opening at least 30 new stores this year. This comes from a store opening number of 16 in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And in terms of what kind of stores will be opening, so we're really focused on growing our drive-through stores because this is one of our drivers or that kept us afloat amidst the pandemic when dine-in was heavily restricted. So those are really some of we're working on a lot of innovations as well for our delivery because delivery and drive-through were the channels that we saw the shift from dine-in. A lot of our customers shifted, of course, to these two channels, and we're continuously working on improving our service and different innovations as well to improve the overall customer experience in these in drive-through and delivery.
Okay, so more or less double the amount of new store openings that we saw during pandemic to be
Yes.
expected in 2021 with this new line management also more efficient, hopefully, and
Yes.
protocols for the COVID-19. Thank you so much for all of
Thank
those
you.
insights and excited to try that
Okay.
BTS meal. I'll
Sure.
drive by today and see if there's even a chance. That was, of
Yes.
course, Timbol-Hernandez,
Thank
Senior
you.
Manager of Corporate Communications of McDonald's Philippines.
Thank you. You're wearing purple. All right.
And that's a first look into the business day. Today is Friday, June 18, 2021. Catch Business World Live for the market close. It's at 3:15 p.m. today. I'm Danie Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are one.